welcome to Bitter Coffee. I am Kelly Coffee.
And I am Sam Diaz.
Sam, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Now, just right out of the gate, your surroundings are very different than they were when you were on the show last time.
They are. This is for you, and this is for the listeners. I am literally backed up into my closet, surrounded by my clothes, on my meditation pad for heat, so I can be risen into our camera and our speaker. And I'm trying my best to make my sound wonderful.
It's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I will sound less like I'm gasping for air. And here's what it is. I'm going to break it down a little bit because I've had a few people say like, hey, are you able to regulate your breathing? And most of the time, yes, I am. I would say 94% of the time, I have no problem regulating my breathing, whether I'm doing a show or walking down the street or at work or whatever. But because we're doing our shows remotely, because we're doing the responsible thing, the mics are really hot. Like they pick up everything. And when I was editing the last show, I heard it, but there's really not much I can do because, I mean, I'm 52. I don't have enough time left in this life to edit out every time someone inhales. I don't.
Understood.
I can't do it. So I'm sorry for those of you who were distracted or feeling a little bit ragey because the sound of my inhaling was so loud, but I would blame the mic. Here's the thing though, Margo Batesy doesn't have a problem with the mic. She sounds crystal clear in the mic.
Well, yes, Margo has an ideal situation, like the bunker, as we talked about last episode. But I think that gives her a sound advantage. She literally, I think, has styrofoam behind her, which is what some sound studios, makeshift or not, have. So she's in a good position already. But then Margo is effortless in most things she does. So
yeah, she's kind of a unicorn, right?
She's got that unicorn hair.
And now she has a unicorn hip.
Okay. My ignorance will come through on this episode. Hip or hips?
Just one.
Just one?
Yeah, just the left side was done.
Okay, good. Mm-hmm. All right. For some reason, I thought she was having bilateral.
No.
And so I thought, okay, two. And then I thought, wait, are we just saying when someone has a hip, they only have one hip? We have two hips, right? Yes.
Yes. I mean,
I threw myself. I thought, okay, so she just had the one done, but I think one's enough.
I think one's plenty. And it's a really, I don't want to steal her hip thunder because it's her story to tell, but you were under the impression that the surgery was going to take like 11 hours. Right?
I yes, thank you for, I still haven't gotten this out of my system. It seems like an incredibly invasive, scary procedure. Again, I cannot wait to hear her story. When you told me about the boots, which hopefully we can get into in a little bit later, the boots that they have to put the person in. I thought I was going to pass out when you said that. There's boots. You're breaking things. You're putting them back together.
There's drills. There's a lot.
Mm-hmm. And then you're texting me, oh, she's out. Oh, she's walking. It's like, it takes me longer to drive to Stowe, pick up my dry cleaning and come back. And she's got a new hip. And then she's walking and going home. It's like, you can't let her go home. And didn't you say like, yeah, I'm sorry. It's so much. And
when I texted
you out of there so quickly,
I texted you and said, hey, Margo's out of surgery. You had so many questions. It was almost to the point you're like, well, no, that can't be. Because she just, she probably went in like what, 6 hours ago. There's no way she's done. Yeah, she was up, not up and around, but she was awake and she was lucid and she was eating, I'd say like 2 hours after surgery started. Seriously.
She was putting food in her mouth 2 hours after they started.
Having lunch. Mm-hmm. Maybe 3. Don't quote me on that. Again.
Well, no.
it was before noon when she said, "Oh, I'm having some lunch." Mm-hmm.
So feeding tubes aren't a thing when you have hip surgery.
No.
Because you can't eat because you just had hip surgery.
Right.
I genuinely likened hip surgery to quadruple bypass. Like, I thought you were under for that amount of time.
She wasn't even given general anesthesia. Yeah.
All right. I don't know what to. I'm frustrated. I'm confused.
It was a local. She got a local anesthesia, and then.
Is that normal, or is she just particularly? So. Yeah, I feel bad.
Well, I mean, to circle back, she's a unicorn.
I know. Okay.
So, but I'm sure she'll be able to tell us the story, because I had a lot of questions and she was more than willing to share those answers. I had someone email me last week, and they couldn't figure out who you are. And my initial response was, "Oh, it's my friend Sam." So do you want to give a little background? You want to do like a little bio?
Oh boy. Okay. So they didn't know who I was. So existentially, they want to know who I am or where I came from, or.
Oh, I think it's more, I mean, if there's one thing I share with our listeners is that, no one likes change.
Sure.
So I think, people were like, "Who's the Sam person? Why are all the people on the show?" And it wasn't a bad thing. They were just curious as to who you were. And the last time you were on, I offered little or no introduction as to who you were, other than we work together and you're my supervisor. But you're also one of those people, like, you could be my supervisor 1 minute, and then the next minute I'm texting you. Like, I'm like, complaining about like a work related thing. And then like 30 seconds later, I'm like trying to send you a pic that I took on my phone of my neighbor who like tried to cut her own bangs. You know what I mean? Like we can switch back and forth, which I love. I adore that about you, that we have two very, very different relationships, and we can kind of shift between the two somewhat seamlessly. I mean, I can on my end. I don't want to speak for you. So somebody had asked like where you came from. I think kind of like, well, you're here in Vermont, obviously, and you were from Michigan originally, but you lived a lot of different places. And what I find really interesting is your background in the industry. That's what we say in the biz, Sam. We call it the industry. We call it the biz.
The biz. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Wonderful. Yeah, I know. Changes. Who is this person? Why are they here? Don't worry. I've just put on my Instagram, I'm a temp. So no one has to.
Did you really? I didn't even.
Yeah, I put it on my profile, temp at Bitter Coffee Podcast. Which I think that dynamic is excellent, because tying back into you and I, and it'll be challenging, I think, because we're both going to have to be super adulty. Okay, we work together. Okay, we have like the podcast for this time. We got to be nice to each other. Mm-hmm. We got to like know when to let loose, when to hold our tongues, like don't want to make this dirty, so we're juggling a lot, but I think you and I are similar enough to where we can figure that out. Where I came from. So when we talk about the industry, I think what drew me when I came to Vermont, I had said, gosh, I'd really like to do a podcast, be on a podcast, start one, be able to talk about either current events or chips on our shoulders or whatever. But I didn't know anyone here. I still don't really know too many people here. I'm sort of collecting my Vermont friends. And not joking, about 4 or 5 months after I said that, to myself, and how could I get this started? You and I kind of fell into each other's lap. And you're like, I have a podcast. How do you have a podcast? That's crazy. But what I enjoy about the industry and why I wanted to kind of get into a comedic podcast is because I really missed my roots back in New York City. I used to write sketch comedy for the Upright Citizens Brigade. in addition to working at a crime lab and doing all the other fun things that I used to do.
I mean, the two basically go hand in hand.
Yes, there's a lot of humor in those crime labs. The wind has just blown me everywhere. But at the UCB, truly one of the best times of my life, the most supportive community and environment. Everyone was just there for the common thread of having a good time, being funny, making each other laugh, making other people laugh. Humor is absolutely just a way to sort of wash your brain out, get on the same page with people, no matter your politics or where you're from. It's like, if you're laughing, you're on common ground, done. And I think I was able to just feel like I was who I was meant to be when I lived in New York City and I was part of the Upright Citizens Brigade, any comedy troupe really, but just being able to throw off funny ideas and work with each other. I don't particularly like to perform. So the writing, the sketch comedy was perfect for me, because the writer's room, you get yourself in a room for 6 or 7 hours and you're just at the table bouncing ideas off each other. And it's, not to sound hokey, but it's just so damn beautiful, like to just be in such a light space. Of course, the Upright Citizens Brigade, if you want to write for them, you need to know your way around improv. So you are in their improv troops or their classes, and it does help you with your brain firing off certain things, and it helps you with your writing. But I didn't truly enjoy that. I did it because I had to. I preferred to be behind the scenes. Now, a podcast, I feel like I can get that writer's room feeling, but I'm not performing. I'm just going with it, and it's perfect. So, and that's the industry part.
I mean, it's kind of, yes, I think a podcast, it allows people who are somewhat introverted to have an outlet, and it also provides an outlet for people who are kind of extroverted. And you right now, I would consider you an introvert just because you are doing this show there's a word for it now. This is one of those pandemic words. And I think I had briefly mentioned this to you earlier, that it's such a soul crushing word, but I have to use it, and I'm going to use it a lot.
What?
So you're doing the podcast from your cloffice. This is what people are creating. It's closet and office together.
I like it.
It's a thing. I don't like it. It's annoying. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know. We have enough words. Let's not make more words. Let's not try and be clever. So the article that I felt compelled to read it, yes. It was about, hey, something about, here's your new workspace. It's called your cloffice. And they had some tips. So I don't know. You said that you were on a meditation pillow. So I'm going to offer you some tips that this article provided. And I think Batesy would back this one up 100%. Get a bold chair. Do you have a bold chair or no?
I do. Yes.
Okay. All right. So, maybe next time, put up some faux sconces. I don't know. What is a sconce? I've heard that word for like the past 45 years. I don't know what it is. Do I need to know at this point in my life?
Sconces, no, you don't. And
okay.
You don't need them. They're good. Very popular in Italian families on Long Island.
Okay.
And they put candles on them that they never intend to burn.
Okay.
No.
Well, they're suggesting that you put up a faux sconce, maybe with some faux candles for your faux family on Long Island. Give it a pop of color. I mean, I see black and white behind you, but you're a former New Yorker, so that makes sense. That's pretty much all you have. What I don't like is the fact that this is probably one of those words that people are just going to start throwing out there. Yeah, no. Yeah, we'll have a Zoom meeting. I'll do it for my cloffice as soon as I get home. It's going to be a thing. That's
I understand.
What I don't like. That's what I don't like. And then do we ever get to a point where like the cloffices are broken down? We don't use it anymore because the pandemic's over. Or is this just part of a work from home vernacular that I have to get used to, not having the luxury of working from home?
Sure. Mm-hmm. Well, I think to call it a cloffice is fine, but if we
Oh
continue
my
to use it,
God, it's the worst goddamn word. Okay.
yes, if that tells you what it is. But I
Mm.
mean, these are adults that are working. I'm in a closet because I'm in a unique situation where I'm on a podcast and I can't go into a studio because of COVID. That's why I have this. But if I was working a job, I wouldn't be in my closet. I'd be in my home office or like against a plain wall.
Or like a fake background. Zoom even provides fake backgrounds for people.
Right. You can't tell me that if you have a home to live in and you're working from home, the closet is your only option to work from.
I'm sorry, the what?
Oh, the cloffice. Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. I'm already tired of it. Thank you.
See, it's terrible. And I mean, I've been carrying this around for 4 days. So, it's I feel lighter. I feel like this weight's been lifted off my shoulders. So thanks for walking me through that. But I think there will be a day sometime in the next, I don't even know when I will be able to have people in the studio again. I don't know what that looks like because I have been vaccinated. Batesie's been vaccinated. You just received your second vaccine. You are probably one of the only people I know who did not have any, I don't want to call them side effects. I don't want to call it a reaction, any immune system response. There you go, to the second vaccine. So in addition to you having this like ironclad emotional response, because I correct your grammar all the time and you never get mad at me, you have this ironclad immune system. Like you're basically made of steel.
Yes.
Nothing.
I am.
Felt fine. Like went out and ran a marathon the next day, pretty much, right?
I thought I was starting. So I'm really proud of my response or the non-response to my second vaccine. I thought I started to feel some joint pain because when I went to bend over to feed Winnie, I was like, oh, my knees and ankles hurt. But then that was it.
It's just when I'm like, oh,
I was bracing for impact.
Yeah.
No, I was bracing for impact. I thought this is going to be the end of it. If I may share my mother's stream of consciousness on her first vaccine.
Please, for the love of sweet Jesus, please do.
Okay. Well, that's how I started my morning yesterday. The phone call from the Madre, who I love. And I will preface this by saying I'm grateful that I can talk to my mother. She's still alive. She's healthy. I'm grateful that I can have these merry-go-round of nonsense conversations with her as early in the morning as they may be. Madre, my mother got her first vaccine, super psyched, Friday morning. Yesterday morning, she calls, Sammy, I'm a little worried because they pinched me in the arm before they gave it to me. And I heard you're not supposed to get pinched, but she pinched me. And before I knew it, before I could say something, the needle was already out of my arm.
Oh, boy.
Right. So they pinched her. Number two, my arm's not that sore. And the neighbor down the street, his arm is super sore. So I'm a little concerned that I didn't get it or it didn't really go into the muscle.
Like it didn't take?
Right. Like it didn't take.
Spilled all over her arm and it's.
Right. Like it got in the skin. And so she's worried about that. And then number two, I said, okay, well, did you feel any symptoms? Well, I had the chills. I said, well, that would be a symptom. Yes, but I had just come in from shoveling snow for 2 hours. Okay, so were you cold or was it the chills? I don't know. I'm not sure. I said, okay, when you felt the chills, was it right after you came in from shoveling the snow? This is 6:30 in the GD morning, by the way.
Perfect. Your time. Mm-hmm.
My time when we're having this conversation. Mm-hmm. I said, when you felt the chills, how long had it been since you came in from shoveling snow? A few hours. I said, okay, so it wasn't that you were cold. It was probably the real chills. And she's like, yeah, that's probably true. And then she said, actually, when I really start to think about it, if I touch my arm, it's super sore and it is kind of hard to lift. Okay, well, I think between the chills and your arm being sore, it sounds like it's a safe bet. I don't know. There's something that I'm just not. I'm going to call my doctor's office. They're open till
Perfect.
3. And I said, to see if you need another one. She's like, do you think they would do that? I said, I don't think so. I said,
No, I
we're in
mean,
a
I
major
don't,
crisis and you got yours. I don't think you get a
yeah,
second one just for good luck. So
I don't think there's extra
no,
kind
just
of
in
floating
case.
around. I'm assuming. I mean, I'm not part of the CDC,
Right.
but it feels like there's not a lot of extra vaccines floating around. Arguably,
Just for a second dose, a safety dose.
like just like a do-over, just in case.
Right.
Yeah. I
So
mean, yeah.
she did want to call the doctor's office just to let them know, because my mother is very sweet. I don't think it would be an annoying phone call for them. I can only imagine, but she just wants them to know that one of the nurses is pinching during the administration of the vaccine. And maybe she shouldn't pinch any longer. I said, okay, Mom, that sounds good.
I think just when you think that our healthcare workers have everything under control, we're hearing these reports of pinching. So is it a crisis within a crisis? I'd say yes. But let's do this. I suggest that you give your mom my phone number. I can take these phone calls early in the morning because, as you know, my day starts at 4 a.m. So by 6:30, I'm looking for a break. I can chat with someone. Put her on speakerphone. Will and I can field that phone call like a couple of champs.
I know.
I'll walk her through it. It's fine. And I'm sure from there is no shortage of topics that she and I can discuss. So please feel free. Or just forward her number to my phone. And then any unknown number from Michigan, I know that I need to pick it up. Stat, I need to pick it up.
It's Sam's mom. Right? She is a living cartoon character, my mother. She's Canadian, always even keeled, just cheerful, usually on the good side of things.
Okay.
But I'm an only child. And as we've discussed, I haven't given her any grandchildren. So it's all on me. So if you and I could share, that would be great.
Okay. Yeah. I'm happy to take on some of that burden. How often does your mom, because you have mentioned this a few times, your mom wants you to have children like yesterday, right?
Right.
Can you just maybe lie to her and say, hey, look, I had a baby, just to kind of, put her at ease for a little while? I mean, it's not a long-term fix, but it buys you a little bit of time.
I think it would buy me 12 hours, as that's how long it takes to drive from Detroit to Vermont through Canada's closed right now. But that would be a very short-term solution.
Okay. All right.
Right.
So no. All right. I'm trying.
I know. I'm trying to find a way to gently tell her, probably not going to happen. Let's get you thinking that it's not going to happen and have you start working from there, and we can start the healing. How about that? And it's not a sad thing. It's mostly by choice. So let's just, life didn't turn out the way you want, Mom. Super sorry. It is a shame though, because if I was all about having kids, she's built in childcare. Right. Done and done.
Yeah. Canada closed or not closed. She's there.
Yeah, exactly. There are people out there who would kill for their parents and just be like, here's a child, raise it. I'll come in and say hi every so often. I got stuff to do. I'm going to go travel. I'm going to go design my new house, have fun with my baby.
Right.
I have no problem with that. It's great. It's sort of a wasted opportunity, but what are you going to do?
It's probably going to be a difficult conversation for you to have with your mom, because, I mean, if she's this fixated on the arm pinching, the vaccine, I don't know how that baby conversation is going to go.
Right.
But I do wish you the best of luck with that.
I also wish you the best of luck, because I'm going to give her the phone number.
It's fine. You know what? She and I will walk through it together. We'll do a lot of processing. And I think both she and I we're going to turn out to be stronger people at the other end of that conversation. So I do thank you in advance. There's what, you had mentioned earlier that you were in the biz. I'm air quoting for those of you. Well, nobody can see me because it's a podcast. I have to say that a couple of weeks ago, Bitter Coffee received its first negative review And
Okay.
although everybody close to me thought that by now I would kind of be over it, and I totally am. But
Okay.
you were one of those people that said, you know what? This is going to happen. It's going to happen. And I was going to like shut down the show and, move to another country, change my name. You know what I mean? It was going to be like a whole thing.
Right.
And you were one of those people who said, no. You basically said, that's stupid. You shouldn't do that. You had one foot in like the tough love and the other foot in the like, hey, whatever you want, I'm your friend and we'll figure it out. It was very lovely. And you struck that balance. But I will say this, despite the negative review, which I might read. Should we read it? Should I really relive this?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
It's your show. Let's do it.
All right. So I do want to say that there are a couple people, yourself included, that kind of talked me out of letting this person kind of get under my skin. And this is just one of those inevitable things that happens when you have a podcast or you do anything that you're putting out into the public. To quote you, it's going to be out there in the public. People are going to hear it. People are going to see it. Not everybody's going to like it. But you and Margo's mom, Anne is a new listener to the show.
Hey, Anne.
Turned on to the show. So hi, Anne. I want to say hi
Anne.
to you. Anne is currently hailing from Arizona, but soon to be from the Green Mountain State.
Lovely.
And also longtime listener, Kobe. Kobe is the brother of one of my lovely neighbors up the street. And he sent me this really nice email. And then he sent me this really funny email. And I want to make sure with him that it's okay if I read the email over the phone, Jesus Christ, on the show. And I think we're going to try and have him on the show. It's just very lovely.
Oh, great.
So thanks everybody for helping to put back together my eggshell fragile ego. And here we go. Here's the bad review. You ready?
I'm ready.
I should have you read it, but it's fine. And I don't know how old the person needs to be to use this word, but they used it anyway. So this is written on January 19, and the person's name is Too Bitter. Stupid. And the title of the review is Not a Fan. They give us 1 star. Now, to give a show 1 star, that's a lot of energy that could be used to do something else. Tie your shoes, go for a walk, read a book. I don't know, whatever. The review says, let's talk drivel. Okay. Yeah. And get all of our friends to write rave reviews. Super annoying podcast. Okay. First of all, super annoying review, by the way. And I don't know if they've listened to the show before writing this review.
Right.
But talking drivel, like that's the goal of the show. Like that's what we do.
That's a podcast, my friend.
That's what podcasts do. And also having your friends write reviews, that's also what people do. When you have friends who listen to a podcast, they offer reviews. I got stuck on the word drivel. Like it feels and sounds like an 18th century word. Is it not? Like when was the last time you used the word drivel?
I don't know when I have used that word.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Probably, I don't know, because we have electricity and we have plumbing. And like,
I'm not a fan of that word.
Like maybe if you were urinating into like a chamber pot, then using the word drivel would be an acceptable word. Thanks for letting me walk through that. I do appreciate that. Man, there's a lot of really good work going on here today. Thanks very much, Sam. It's Super Bowl Sunday. I'm going to take a guess and say that you're not a fan of the sporting things, right?
Yeah, I was talking about this earlier. I don't care. Mm-hmm. I don't care. I never really have cared. I thought it was last weekend, and then I found out on Thursday Friday it was this weekend. Mm. My mom told me who was playing. Oh. She usually informs me of those kind of things, like what the weather's like in my own town currently. She'll send me. Yeah, we got to have her on. No, I'm not. The Super Bowl, and now with the internet, I will say that I can always catch up on the commercials because I'll go to work like every other person on Monday. Did you see this? No, but I'll Google it. That's it.
I think they're already out.
What?
I think the commercials are already out. I think they were released earlier in the week.
Really?
Yeah. Somebody I mean, I didn't really want to brag about this, but I think I celebrated this year's hot chocolate week in a way that I've never celebrated before. I don't know if you know this. Last week at work was hot chocolate week. It was.
It was officially.
It was officially hot chocolate week. Yeah.
Were they giving it out for free?
No, you had to pay for it, but it was, it was still a week.
No, you pay for it.
I know. I kind of thought, you see the sign, you're like, oh, it's hot chocolate week. You're like, there's going to be stations everywhere, like 30 different tables set up with like 18 different kinds all around the main campus. Nope, not the case.
Let's encourage that gathering. Let's all come together. Take your masks off and take a sip.
Closer. We got to get this photo op in. But I learned from one of the folks who was preparing Wednesday's hot chocolate, which was a Kit Kat hot chocolate, that all the Super Bowl commercials had already been released. So there's that. There's no watching the show, the pre-show, the halftime show, the actual game for me, because like you, there's the not caring.
Right.
And then there's the fact that I go to bed around 5:30. So like a half an hour before it all starts, which is fine. I get to just ignore the whole thing. It's fine. So what I'm doing today, like I usually do on Sundays, I'll spend the afternoon with Michelle, and we always fall into this like weird, like Law and Order, SVU kind of K-hole for part of the afternoon.
Nice.
And I appreciate that because I don't want to say like, oh, I can watch TV and I don't have to think about anything. Like all of Dick Wolf's shows end on really negative notes, right?
Yeah.
It's like, well, okay, now everybody's dead. Right?
Exactly.
But what kind of really bolsters my why am I doing this to myself kind of vibe is the two channels that I can find SVU on Sundays. They play those, those Humane Society commercials.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And they're like 30 minutes long.
Yep.
They're
a little
horrendous. Just when you think it's over, you're like, oh, it has to be over by now, because you dive for the remote. No matter where it is, you defy gravity and physics, and you scramble and you get it. As soon as you see that one little like chow kind of shivering in a cage that's filled with like drifted snow, 15 minutes goes by and you're like, yeah, I'm sure it's over. Nope.
I can't.
And there's like a dachshund who's like, in the back of a car, and, like the windows are up, or, whatever. Like it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. So what I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to only watch movies, because they don't afford us the pain and torture of a commercial, but I can't find anything good. Everything I watch, I think it's going to make me cry, or it's going to keep me up at night.
You can't find any movies that you are concerned that are good enough.
No, because I'm just super picky. And when I say watch a movie, this is what I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, I decide on a movie. I watch the first 15 minutes. I take a nap. I wake up toward the end and ask Michelle or ask myself, I wonder what I missed. And then the credits start rolling. So I miss entire movies. There are things that I fall asleep to. I don't actually watch a movie. I fall asleep to it.
If I may suggest.
Please.
I think you need to get yourself into the Lifetime movie lane.
Okay.
Because my good friends in New York, Kathleen and Cynthia, we have sort of a Lifetime movie club, and we just love it. And it's something where you can fall asleep too and wake up later and what did I miss? Sure. But I don't think you're going to want to fall asleep because the storylines are magnificent. So I think that's how you should start to safely introduce yourself to movies. They're from the 80s, the 90s. They're so good.
Oh, I know.
Broderick, excellent.
Betty Broderick is in just about everything. And is it Kelly Martin or Tracy Martin? One of the Martin sisters is in all of them. She usually ends up killing somebody, and it's usually a cheerleader out of jealousy, right? My favorite Lifetime movie is, and man, if you know what I'm talking about, my head will literally explode all over this studio.
Okay.
You know the Lifetime movie, Friends to the End?
No.
Shannon Doherty is in a band. And like,
no, not a sorority. It's a band.
It's both. It's both. It's absolutely both. She's in a band and she's in a sorority. Yes.
Okay. I think it's been years, but I think I've seen it. Yes.
Yep.
I know they all end the same way, but yeah.
Well, yeah, this one did not end well. And the mom, I don't want to give anything away because I know now everybody's Googling Friends to the End. It stars Shannon Doherty and the guy from a show from the 90s that I can't remember. Oh God, what's the name of that show? I can't remember. It has like a Dawson's Creek kind of vibe to it, but it's not that actor. I can't remember his name, but I do remember. I cannot remember what I had for breakfast an hour and a half ago, but I can remember that the name of Shannon Doherty's band in this movie was called Violent Pink, and there's a whole thing with like a battle of the bands. If you haven't watched it, I need you to go and watch it. I need you to just shut your computer right now and go and watch this. Well, actually, you'd open your computer because
that's how I watch it.
Yeah, it's how you'd stream it. So it makes sense.
Yeah, it is on like just the veil of my brain. I feel like I can recall. Yeah.
It's a good one. And then I watched one a couple of weeks ago, and you're right. I did not fall asleep during this. I watched the Betty Broderick. There's two parts to the Betty Broderick story.
It's incredible.
It's amazing. And like the first one, it's the whole how her marriage is kind of crumbling. And then the second part is after she's murdered her husband and her husband's new wife.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just basically Betty Broderick in jail yelling at everybody. Right? Am I wrong?
And it is so pure and wonderful. And it's amazing. And it's kind of low budget because it's Lifetime. And it's kind of like grainy and oh, it's so uncomfortable. And God damn it. It makes me so turned on how uncomfortable it is. I feed off of it. So nowadays we look at Netflix and Amazon Prime, and that's fine. But that doesn't get in there like the Lifetime movies do.
No,
and as a
you're
woman,
right.
I relate to those movies. It's so good.
Right. There was one called Video Voyeur, The Neighbor Next Door. Do you know this one? Starring Angie Harmon.
Is that where they eventually get into the house and take the videos, or they were
already there? The neighbor planted them, I think, like not long after they moved in.
Right.
I can't remember that part. But my friend Ross Maxwell and I watched that particular Lifetime movie years and years ago when we both lived in Brooklyn, and we were roommates. And we made up our own dialogue for the entire movie. And our script was a lot better than theirs. Remember? And she was like you, Sam. At one point, she was so afraid to sleep in her own home, she slept in her closet. She's just like you. Yeah, you're her.
It's uncanny.
It's crazy. The similarities are amazing. And then there's one I watched with Tracy. Is it Tracy Gold or Tracy Martin? You know who I'm talking about?
Tracy Gold had the eating disorder in real life and then made a lot of movies about eating disorders, which had to have been triggering. I mean, not to be sensitive, but.
So, yes, it was Tracy Gold. And I think the only reference to eating was her older sister picked her up from somewhere, and she was kind of like whittling away at a cucumber when they were driving somewhere. And that was the knife that she used, spoiler alert, to kill Tori Spelling, who was a cheerleader. And I cannot remember the name of the movie, but I want to say like, I killed a cheerleader, but I don't think it was that simple. I think it was a bit more layered than that.
Right.
And I know that I will fall asleep. You're right. I will fall asleep during a Lifetime movie, and I'll wake up and maybe like half a day has gone by. Like in as far as the movie's concerned, not in real life. And that's what I might do. I don't know if Michelle has that much patience, because these are movies that I've probably already seen. So I will have to tell her what's about to happen, or alternatively, oh, I remember the movie this way. I thought this was going to happen. So then she just kind of loses the plot. But she's a very patient woman. I don't want to give the impression that she's not patient. And those of you who are on social media and saw that what I posted yesterday and today, can we talk about the birthday gift, like the best birthday gift I've ever been given?
Yes. And so, I mean, I'll let you go first because I've got plenty to say on it.
It's nuts. So my wife, Michelle, made this little miniature. It is diorama. I'm pronouncing it correctly, right? I'm from New Jersey, so I don't know. I don't know fancy things.
You're just doing the best you can. You're good.
That's all I can.
That's right. That's right.
She commissioned an artist to create a diorama of my podcast studio. And she does surprise me with really great birthday gifts every year. And this, in a million years, I never would have guessed that this was not even on my radar. For some reason, I don't know why, I had it in my head that this year for my birthday, I was going to get a telescope. I have nothing to base that on. It was just a thought that I had and I ran with it. Turns out I mismanaged my thoughts, obviously. And so Michelle and I have been doing this thing for about 9 years, where I will say usually starts like the end of January, beginning of February, because my birthday is on February 21. I will start saying, can I have my birthday presents early? Like on the heels of Christmas, or I've already asked for 2 months for my Christmas presents early, to which Michelle either doesn't respond at all and just changes the subject, or she'll just say, no, you can't. And then we'll move on. So last year I stopped asking if I could open my presents early. And this year, the new tradition is, hey, do you want your birthday present early? And I say yes. And she goes, yeah, you can. I guess she just, I know, right? Kind of stings a little bit. So yesterday she said, do you want your birthday present early? And I said, yes, I do. And then she left the room and came back with this really big box. And it was one of those boxes that you see like on sitcoms where they open a gift and like the top comes off.
I love
box,
that.
like there was no unwrapping. Nice. I know, it's cool. And it's the most amazing gift. The amount of detail that is in this piece of art is amazing. I don't know what to do with it. I stared at it for like an hour and a half, and that was super cool. Like I'll do that again today, but I don't know where to put it. Like I want to put it on display, and I'm sure I'll put it on display in the studio, but I don't know where it should go. I have no idea, but it's amazing. And the artist is a woman by the name of, I don't know if, I guess I'm allowed to say her. Yeah, I can say her name. The name of the company, or the name of the craft people, it's called BN Miniature Works. And they're in, I think, upstate New York. I don't have a lot of information. I'm sorry, but I'll get some for next time. I
followed her immediately because I had to.
Yeah,
I did. I followed her immediately, and incredible stuff. And she'll show the play-by-plays of, like the sectionals of, okay, I've done this much work today, I've done that much, and you can see the progress of her work, and it's incredible. It's crazy. It's absolutely insane. I could probably do that job for like 4 minutes, and then I would end up just kind of like destroying everything, like just like crumpling it up in my hand and throwing it away and just never looking back and saying, well, that was stupid. Why did I ever think I could do that? The amount of patience that this artist has to do what she does is just, it's phenomenal. But I'll get some contact information for the next show. Or may I point out something? You may. in a way, you kind of did get a telescope for your birthday.
Oh, Sam.
I know. Isn't that so beautiful?
Sam.
That's why I'm here. Because what do telescopes do? They bring things into focus. And where were you about a week ago with your studio and your podcast? And here we are. Of course, I'm sure Michelle was like, fuck. Ooh, sorry.
But that's exactly what she said. She was like, oh my God, what the hell am I going to do? This might suck really bad. Because she started this project like the day after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I'm sure it wasn't an overnight project.
No,
sure, yeah.
It's like it took months. And so, yeah. And looking back when I was having my, I don't want to do this anymore moment, the look on Michelle's face was a bit more concerned than I thought it would normally be. And now it all makes sense. But I will say this, it has kind of, as corny as it sounds, it has re-energized me to do this show. And as you said yesterday, like I'm locked in now.
Yeah.
I have a replica of the show. Like I can't cut and run now, which is fine. It's totally fine.
Yeah, and I think the way that worked is okay. You and I have already discussed the review and that feeling of when you want to put your heart and soul into a project, and it's you and it's a part of you and you're on display, and the public's involved, and you can't control the way the public sees you, or you can't control what some person just wants to say because it's easy for them to remain faceless and just say things. But
or they're stupid.
Like you said, you're re-energized. And that's why I kind of, in a very odd, maybe a little sick way, sometimes I like those digs, those not so positive things. No, we don't want to be abused, but like you kind of created a little bit more of a shell. And I think in comedy and this business, you need to add those layers to your shell. And every time you get some dingbat, mom's word, thanks, Madre. Every time you get some dingbat that's got their opinion, whether you like it or not, whether it's just to be mean or not, you absorb it and you just make it part of your shell and you go from there. Because I got to say, there are podcasts out there that I think are brilliant. And sometimes it's like, that show didn't hit it for me. I didn't like it. Granted, I'm not calling it drivel, but like, you just got to go with it. And I think that's what you're doing. And that's what you're doing. And now you've got a miniature replica, you've got your next show, you feel better. And I think when you're in the moment, it feels awful because I'm not immune to it either. You don't think I was terrified when I got on this podcast that you weren't going to get a bunch of hate email about my voice? I've told you about my voice. So yeah, no, that vulnerability being out there, it sucks. But yeah. Anyway, not to drone on about it, but
no.
I think it's pretty badass.
I appreciate it. I mean, I had no idea that this show in particular was going to turn into this like really powerful therapy session, but here we are. Let's see. What else do I have to talk about? Oh, I wanted to talk to you about the Lady Gaga cookies. I know you have a lot of feelings about Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
And those of you who can't see Sam, which is everybody, she was just smiling, and then there's this look of defeat that just kind of washed over her face. So I'm going to take a cue. I'm going to put that psychology degree to work and say, maybe you don't want to talk about the Lady Gaga cookies.
We can. I don't know much. I know that they're in pink packaging. Mm-hmm. And I think they're the vanilla. I don't think they're actual Oreo. They're Oreos, but they're not the chocolate Oreos. Aren't they vanilla-y, or they're pink and white?
They're pink with like a green middle.
Why?
So, I don't know. Like, here's the thing. My question is like,
so annoyed.
Was it like, oh, finally Lady Gaga has her own cookie? Like what's the rationale behind all of a sudden like putting cookies and Lady Gaga together? Like, is that where we are in the pandemic, where it's like, what can we do to entertain ourselves? Like, let's give Lady Gaga a cookie. I don't know.
Well, is it tied to a charity, or not saying that you have to do that? If you want a cookie, make your cookie, but exactly. what are we doing here? And
Yeah.
the packaging is pink and different.
Right.
But like I think the latest crazy Oreo I had was a Trolls movie themed Oreo, which were delicious, but they had the Pop Rocks in the cream.
Oh my
So
God.
then you'd eat it and then your mouth would make noises and, oh, we're having fun. I get that, but I don't understand Lady Gaga's cookie, and I already have a chip on my shoulder about that woman. So I don't.
All right. Well, I started something that obviously I can't finish. So, and I'm watching you kind of spiral down a little bit, and I'm sorry. You boost my ego, and then here I am just kind of crushing your soul.
I know.
My question is, I don't understand why we're doing it. And I'm not necessarily opposed to Lady Gaga. I'm not necessarily like a big proponent of Lady Gaga. I don't know.
Oreo Nabisco, I suppose. Am I allowed to say that on here?
Sure.
Oreo, they're just throwing anything that sticks. They're throwing everything to the wall. There's so many weird flavors. The Swedish fish Oreo.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I guess it's time for a Lady Gaga Oreo.
I guess. I think there's just too many flavors of Oreos altogether.
Right.
If anything, if this pandemic has taught us anything, it's maybe we should get away from having all the extra flavors of things. Let's appreciate the classics. Let's stay with more traditional things. Let's get back to what we know, and that's like 2 flavors of Oreos. Maybe throw in a double stuff, a little shout out to the 80s kids, you know what I mean? But let's leave it there. It seems like Oreos are on a really slippery slope, and Lady Gaga might not be helping. And I've read the reviews because I'm sure everybody knows. I looked on Amazon. I wanted to see what it was all about. I wanted to see what the reviews were. I was going to try and buy some from Michelle, but they're like $56 and they got 2 stars. So, I mean, with that kind of rating, I can make her my own damn cookies and be like, oh, Lady Gaga made these cookies, herself in my kitchen.
Can't you buy them at the store? Why do you have to buy them on Amazon? Are they sold out? Because
I don't know. I don't really go to the store. So.
All right.
I'm more of like an Instacart kind of gal, I don't know.
I think that we are, and I'll have my little meditation pad soapbox. I think when I've lived overseas or when I've traveled, choice is great. And I'm not going to communist countries here. We're talking about Australia, Argentina. There's not as many choices when you go to the grocery store. And in a way, that's very liberating. You still have options. You still have nice options, but you don't have 400 options. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I think that devalues the brand and makes the shopping experience. I mean, our supermarkets, we're so used to it. Full shelves, 12, not even 20 to 30 different types of hair conditioners. For us, it's so normal. You'll go to a grocery store in Australia or Argentina or anywhere, and you have 6 or 7 options. It's almost like going to the drugstore. You have less options. And to me, that's less anxiety provoking. It's like, okay, here are my choices. I can pick and move on. But Oreo is obviously no stranger to the same concept. Let's give someone any option, any idea we've ever had, put it on the shelf. I don't like it.
Put a celebrity's name on it. Everybody can figure it out on their own. When I was a little kid, I would go grocery shopping with my mom, and she would drop me off in the cereal aisle.
Drop you off. Go.
Because it would take me, I mean, not as like an infant. She wouldn't just leave me in the aisle. When I was old enough to start to kind of make my own decisions as far as what kind of cereal I wanted. Aww. And that had in large part to do with what the prize was back in the day, where you was at a prize with your cereal.
Yep.
And I remember as a kid having to take that much time to decide what kind of cereal I wanted. And yes, it's probably led to a lifetime of having a really difficult time making decisions about anything. But even back then, when there was less stuff than we have now, it was an entire aisle of cereal. And I would stand there for like a good 20 minutes. I mean, granted, my mom would get her grocery shopping done a lot quicker because I wasn't there saying, hey, let's get these or let's get those. Completely bypassed that whole goddamn cookie aisle. You know what I mean? I didn't care about that. I was focused on cereal. And it would take me about 20 minutes. And then I would, am I good with my decision? Am I not? And I would just, once my mom came back around and picked me up in the cereal aisle, I would have to be happy with my decision. So thinking back, being that, I don't know, 8-year-old, 9-year-old, however old I was, and having to just decide on what kind of Oreo cookie to have. Can you imagine? Like, I'd still be there now. I would still be there like 45 years later thinking I've got it narrowed down to like Swedish Fish and Lady Gaga. That came out of nowhere. And I don't know. I'm not a fan of the Oreo to begin with. So I think okay. Do we just end the show now? Should I just?
No,
I will offer you my resignation.
Well, we're just obviously very fundamentally different. What is it? The cookie part? Is it the cream?
I'm more of a fan of like anything vanilla.
Oh,
I'm more of a vanilla than a chocolate person.
Okay.
So throw me a Lorna Doone.
Lorna Doones. I'm
down. Mm-hmm.
I'm coming across many people in my life that seem to like those. I've never had one.
Oh my God. And you've traveled the world that you've never had a Lorna Doone. Who are you, Sam?
It's shortbread. Is it shortbread butter cookie? What?
It's like a hybrid of the two. I think it's kind of like it's our interpretation of a shortbread cookie.
Okay.
It's basically the reason that I donate blood.
Well, it sounds like either a country singer, Lorna Doone, or a name that you would insert in a Lifetime movie title. But yeah,
right on both counts. Yeah, right on both counts. Well, when is your birthday?
My birthday's in August.
Like it's today, actually.
I'm not a birthday person. Well, birthdays are fine, just because yours is coming up.
Yeah, it's in 2 weeks.
Okay, it's in 2 weeks. Super quick. So I don't want you to get upset with me. I don't think you're someone who would.
Did you know you realize how long I ruminated over the negative review, right? I don't know if you want to retract that last statement.
I will celebrate a birthday if it's super important to someone that I'm close to, but I don't make big deals out of other people's birthdays. And then the fun part is you don't have to make a big deal out of mine. I have offended many people in my life because I forgot about not like my family, but I've offended acquaintances or new friends before because I didn't recognize their birthday.
Oh, okay.
Because it's just one of those things that falls out of my head. Like birthdays are cool.
Yeah.
But if I don't say happy birthday, it's because I didn't remember.
Yeah.
That's all.
My birthday's on a Sunday this year, so everybody that I work with is off the hook, which is great. And plus, having a birthday in a pandemic is really weird. Like, what do you do? I'm not going to like Zoom people and have like a virtual birthday. That's stupid. I'm fine.
I know. There's a retirement party trying to be planned for an old colleague that I used to work with, and you can't do much. Mm-mm. You can't do anything. It's like, well, you'll be retired a year from now. We can maybe have a party then, but yes, we cannot commemorate this significant event properly. We're trying, and there's all these little, distancing loopholes, but it's not the same. Yeah, it's too bad.
But it lets a lot of people off the hook, I think.
That too.
Right?
Right.
I don't know. What else you got? Have anything else you want to talk about?
Oh my. No, we did talk about how I do enjoy. Did we discuss? And I think we touched on it a little bit. My penchant for the uncomfortable. Or we can save that for the next one if you'd like, because that could be a little meaty.
I mean, I feel like that could be a whole show.
Yeah.
And there's one thing that I wanted to talk with you about, but I think I'm going to wait.
Ooh, I like it.
You like to feel uncomfortable. right?
do.
I mean, just to kind of boil it down.
It builds my shell. Yeah, I like it.
I like to make people that obviously do not like me like me.
Oh, okay.
And there's not by like, I'm not doing anything forceful.
Sure.
I'll just like, I remain consistent in my, I'm going to be kind to this person and maybe something will catch this time.
Right.
And maybe not. And well, I'll just tell you really quickly. So there's this guy that I see all the time who comes into the building, and being a screener, I have to screen him several times a week. Is that Winnie? Does she need something?
Oh, you can hear her? Yeah, she just gave
like
one
minimally.
bark.
I have incredibly good hearing for somebody at my advanced age. And like I barely heard it.
Give me a break.
Anyway, so there's this guy that comes in, and he's not an employee. He works in the building in another capacity, but he's there on a regular basis. And for some reason, he just did not like me for months and months and months. And I would say, good morning, how you doing? And I'd go through the normal screening routine, and I would get nothing. And I tried all the things like, let's make a random reference to the weather, or, whatever, anything, the time of day that I would see him. And no matter what it was, it just, nothing would really catch.
Sure.
So the other day, 3 weeks ago, he came in and I said good morning. And at this time of day, more often than not, it's just the two of us. There's not like a third person or like a crowd of people where we can kind of be comfortable with being uncomfortable around one another. It's just
I see.
he and I. So he's signing in, and I noticed the kind of pen that he was using.
Yeah.
I was like, that's it. Because he brought his own pen with him. And I have a pen thing. Like I love a good pen.
Yeah. Okay.
So I looked at him and I said, see, you're using the Atlantis.
Ooh.
And he stopped and he said, as a matter of fact, I am. And I said, what do you got there? A blue medium point? He said, yeah, I do. Now
man.
I'm convinced that we are going to spend pretty much every holiday together. Thank you, Sam. This has been a super, super pleasure.
Yes.
I think, as I said earlier, we're going to have Margo on next week. I'm looking forward to that. There's some people that I want to thank. I want to thank the Polarity Foundation. Whose very, very generous donation makes this podcast possible. Doggy Styles Dog Grooming. They are located at 925 Roosevelt Highway in Colchester, and their phone number is 802-654-7387. And you can work with Joanne, Casey, Emma, or Miranda. They're all very, very lovely. And I think, Sam, you're going to take Winnie there, right?
Winnie, yes. I've already got my script. So I will take Winnie there because I need a groomer that I can trust.
Mm-hmm.
We're, from Michigan, so we had a great person there, but now I need to find someone here and I'm a little nervous. So yes, she's not looking as pretty as she used to. So hopefully they're forgiving, and I'm excited to see what they got for my Winnie.
She has those Grinch paws, right?
That's what I call them. Yes, her Grinch paws.
Yeah.
So I'm already just going to sort of say, this isn't my fault. I'm sorry. My ex-husband just brought her to me, and he obviously hasn't been taking care of her.
Mm-hmm.
Drop and go. I'll probably, yeah.
It's fine. Yeah, they'll take care of Winnie. They'll take care of you, and they'll take care of Winnie.
Yay!
So thanks again, Sam. This has been a lovely way to spend my Sunday morning. Mm-hmm. And we will see you in a week. Take care, everybody. Bye.